Beverly. I got 2 checks this month. Not that I'm complaining. So anyway,
excuse me. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it over here. This young woman got 2 checks, and I don't have any.
You know John Harding.
He's one of the bad boys of ficto-critical anthropology. His wife, apparently she's some sort of monster.
Wanted to return your book.
And again, I have heard myself described as a psychotic bitch, but I think I'm actually pretty nice.
You know, I'm curious about you.
What aspect of me?
Every aspect of you.
What does his wife think about that?
She doesn't know about it. I think their marriage fell apart, and now he's trapped in it.
I don't want to be married to Georgette anymore. I'm in love with you.
Do you want to hear your horoscope?
No.
He's totally self-absorbed.
I'm terrified that I'm falling out of love with him.
It's too bad you can't give him back to his ex-wife, right?
Maggie, what are you doing here?
John and I are in trouble. There might be an opportunity to get the 2 of you back together.
You want to make sure you don't feel guilty, so you're going to manipulate us all. Leave.
Leave?
Please,
Oh, you want me to
my
leave?
house.
Okay, I'm leaving. Okay, sorry.
Why can't you just break up with him like any normal human being?
Because it would be such a waste.
A waste? He's not a paper product.
I'm in.
Fancy meeting you here. Did you write to me that you were coming?
No idea.
If I ever get another chance at love.
Of course you'll get another chance.
What are you doing here?
There's no harm in us spending time together as a family.
Except for, isn't that the point of a divorce? That you're not a family anymore?
Something about you, and a little bit stupid. I can't help it. I like you.
Love doesn't work this way. You can't take everything and stuff it back in the box.
It's the tragic flaw in my plan. I've decided to embrace the mystery of the universe and stop bossing everybody around so much.
Good luck with that, bossy pants.
I'm so happy because I've seen this movie 3 times, and I love it more every time I see it. And I'm not just trying to sell it right now for you guys. I really, really love this movie. It's so funny, and it's a romantic comedy with authenticity, which I really love. And I'm curious, Rebecca, is it hard to do that within a genre? Is it hard to sort of create this sort of classic screwball romantic comedy while at the same time finding moments that feel authentic, that feel real between your characters?
Well, I think the key was that I had this wonderful, symmetrical, beautiful thing to begin with, which was Karen Rinaldi's chapters of her book. And then I built it out with these wonderful actors, you know. I mean, they're so truthful. And that's really the key, I think, is having, you know, people really going through these situations with real emotion, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that you as performers do so well is find the truth in these kind of absurd situations, especially the 2 of you who have these characters who could be somebody else could overplay them. There's a lot of jokes on the surface about them, but you find a certain truth underneath them that lends more authenticity to the jokes and to the drama. Was that just in the writing for you?
Okay. Well, you know, I think certainly the very nature of co-parenting was interesting to me, and what I see in the world today with lots of people who've split up and are trying to raise children together, and what I see more often than not are people getting it right and trying really hard to get it right and putting their personal antagonisms or whatever aside. And so I think just the reality of that, of knowing that in this slightly eccentric, comical world, you also have people trying to work on a real situation and doing the best thing for their kids. I mean, I think that grounded me in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a moment in the movie when I was watching it again last night where you're in the snow and your character starts crying and you're doing this accent that is so inherently funny, yet at the same time I was watching this and I was like, as funny as this is, I buy this character and I buy where she's coming from. And that seems so hard to me as an actress to do, to make this thing kind of really funny on the surface and sort of eccentric, but real and emotional.
Well, those lines were great. You know, I think the thing that really made me want to do the movie most of all was the "Are we going to die here?" line, where she starts to cry, and because she really, you know, she does feel like she's dying because she just wants her husband back, and she's cold, and you know. But that idea of those, and we all have those extreme feelings. I mean, that's what's funny in life, actually, or how outsized our feelings are sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a testament to the writing as well, in the sense that we're presented with these characters and these ideas of who they are, and you're constantly peeling back layers to reveal that there's more complexity to them. There's a lot more layers. Greta, do you want to talk about your character?
Yeah, well, I loved the script. I was incredibly moved by it and charmed by it, and particularly the relationship that develops between the women in John's life with Maggie and Georgette, and how they come together and end up carpooling and all of that. And I just found it really. I found it like a combination of truthful about how complicated life and marriage and children can be, but also very romantic and very big-hearted. And I think it was this mesh of qualities that it just felt like exciting. And then I loved Rebecca's other films, and I wanted to work with her. And I was really lucky because we had all this time to create the character of Maggie before we actually started shooting. We had like a year, so.
Well, so what did you do together to sort of create that character?
Like girl stuff. Like we went shopping, and we spent a lot of time walking around and talking, and
Maggie's wardrobe is unbelievable, and,
Yeah.
and I love the Quaker reference at one point. It's so specific and her.
Well, she felt like a combination of someone who was both incredibly modern and somehow from a much older time. She has incredible modesty, but she's also very forward-thinking, and we felt like we wanted to have a wardrobe that really reflected how she lived only to please herself, which is a very appealing thing to play.
Greta used the word big-hearted, and I think that's one of the things that works so well within the movie is that in situations like this, in most movies, there would be so much bitterness, or at least one villain who had a certain amount of bitterness and was getting in the way of the couple. And that's not where you come at this from at all. Everybody in the movie is actually like a very big-hearted and open-minded person. Was that something that came from the original text, or something that you sort of shot for while writing it?
Well, no, I mean, I think that what I wanted to do was to see people through different lenses. Like you see John in the beginning, and you're seeing him from Maggie's point of view, so he seems very romantic in a certain way. Then you start to see him as a big pain in the neck, and then you start to see him sort of as a puppy, and then you start to see him more
The guy
from
who's trapped in a Bruce Springsteen song.
Then you see him more from Georgette's point of view of this man who, and then the truth is most people have their opposite inside of them also. Like they're both two things at once. And that thing that most characters have, that's what I tried to give everybody. So nobody is purely villainous or nobody's purely good. They're just human beings, and they're complicated.
But that's also difficult as a writer to maintain, because it's easy to sort of create a villain and have conflict that way, and you can build a story around that. It's kind of harder to have everybody working together still and finding conflict that they can sort of work with, you know?
It was intricate, especially since what I originally had in the story was the fundamental hook, but I brought in Tony and Felicia, and the Pickle Man was not in the original story, and in fact, the story itself wasn't completely built out.
Travis, the Pickle Man?
Yeah. No, every character is so detailed and unique, and the script I just loved it, you know. And for an actor, it's so attractive. And
Absolutely.
No wonder I got the cast that you did.
Ethan, you're hilarious in the movie. It's a character that I feel like you can play very, very, very well. Was that something that
Somehow I feel that's damning of my personal character.
No, absolutely not. Like a really smart, verbose, lovable guy.
Yeah.
Thanks. No, the truth is, what I liked about the script and what I love about the movie and how it comes across is there's so many movies you see that make you end up feeling bad about your own life, that your own life is kind of boring and that you're so much more neurotic and confused in your inner life than these kind of perfect characters who know what they want. And there's something about this movie that is so human and is approaching so many flawed characters with so much love that you walk away from it. It's wonderful to see a movie that's funny and makes you feel good about your own life. That doesn't, just because you have problems in your life doesn't mean that anything's wrong necessarily. This is part of living, and it's funny. And if you have a sense of humor about it, it can all work out really well. And so that I find that really moving, and I'm so surprised that in a lifetime dedicated to acting, I've been asked to be a part of something like this so rarely. I grew up loving comedies, and particularly human comedies. you know, and so much of the modern comedy has been directed towards a 14-year-old male psyche, which is great, and it, for a long time really was me, and it still is me in a large degree.
Will we ever see you in a 14-year-old engagement?
I'm auditioning for
slapstick?
Talladega Nights 3 next week, and I hope to get the role. No, what I mean is it's fun to be a part of an ensemble comedy that reminds me of those old school Katharine Hepburn comedies that I grew up watching and loving. And I just can't believe how that it's so rare. It shouldn't be so rare.
Well, I think they're actually really difficult to make as real as you make this movie, as authentic, because you get so tied to the joke, you get so tied to like the central conflict that they have to circle around, whereas you are tied to the human beings and you are tied to their feelings and where they're coming from. There's this incredible scene, and I know a lot of people haven't seen it, so I don't want to give anything away, an incredible scene where you and Ethan are sitting down and talking in your character's apartment for the first time, and you shed a tear about your past, but the film kind of moves on. We don't dwell on it, and it's very real, and it's just a quick glimpse into your background. And I'm curious how you guys work that scene out. If in the script it was like, she cries briefly, we move on, because in a script I think you would write it or you would read it and you would wonder why someone's crying, or you would push it further, but you just sort of briefly catch it in the movie and you move past it, and it's swift, and it says so much about these two characters.
Well, actually, I remember writing, yes, that there were tears in her eyes, but it's so inherent in Maggie that she would not dwell on it. She would get on with it because she's not somebody to dwell on her own misery. But I remember watching in the monitor while she was doing that, and I was thinking, oh wow, this is so much stronger than I realized.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was just. It felt like a key to Maggie to me that she had. She's not embarrassed by her own emotions, and nor does she need to make a whole event out of them, that she'll cry openly when she talks about something and then move on. But she doesn't, I don't know, it just felt very pure and very much part of who she was and how she moved through the world, that she could be excited and happy and then cry the next moment and not really stay in it or need to create a narrative around it.
It's a really authentic, beautiful moment. I was watching it with someone last night who, when she started crying, I think they thought that it was going to become a big event moment, and you could kind of see them go, huh, and then the scene ended, and they went, oh my God, that was really amazing. I loved that.
Oh, good. I'd love to meet that person. Are they casting?
Julianne, can you talk about developing this character and the accent, and if you ever found yourself pushing it too far or having to pull back? It's so good.
Thank you. We wanted her. I think we both very much identified with her as a European. For me, it was. We both had mothers who were from another country. My mother was from Scotland, and Rebecca's mother was from Austria. And so we grew up with that idea of someone who seems eccentric to the world, but to you, they're just your mom. So I wanted that to be an inherent quality of Georgette. And then we had to kind of hone in on the accent, and we didn't want her to be too Nordic because it's too sing-songy, and we didn't want her to be too Germanic because that was, more of a stock thing. So we settled on Denmark, which is kind of in between. But I think also, in the way that my grandfather was, the longer he stayed in the United States, the more Scottish he became. I wanted that aspect to Georgette as well, that she is in an environment where she can allow her freak flag to fly and be as Danish as she wants to be and wear the kind of clothes that she wants. And but underneath all of that, there's just a person who's trying to keep her family together and is still in love with her husband.
Oh, like
so,
a really great person.
Oh, thank you. But so back to the accent stuff. So I think there was also, we knew we were playing with tone as well, and in comedy there is an elevation to it just in order to make it funny. So that was sort of the world that I was moving up and down in, and hopefully not pushing the boundaries too far, although I got dangerously close sometimes.
I think your character is the perfect example of how the movie very beautifully pulls back the layers on all of these characters, and how sort of the idea that Maggie has all these plans and wants to control, but all those plans sort of go to shit because she doesn't really entail the layers that make up all of these people. As soon as real people get involved in the plans, they start getting a little messy, and it becomes a little more difficult for her character to maintain them. Specifically, I think with Travis's character, without giving anything away, Travis, you have a wonderful moment in the middle of the movie as well, where we get to sort of really understand who your character is. Can you talk about? I mean, you have so few scenes, but you really make an impact. Can you talk about making that impact?
Oh, that's all down to Rebecca's script. You know, it was so quirky, the character, but I play a sperm donor, so
Sperm donor pickle man.
yeah. So there's one scene where I'm still fighting to do it the old-fashioned way, and
But very nicely. You're not like a creep about it, you know.
no, I bring flowers and stuff, but
You're willing to get rejected in this opportunity. I think your line is just sort of like, if you want to do the old-fashioned way, I'm here.
yeah. No, I always got to offer. I feel it'd be rude not to. But,
right.
No, I so agree with what Ethan was saying about it's so annoying that we don't get more films like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just don't read films like this. It's just so well written, and I just wish there was more films like this.
Yeah, more. I mean, absolutely. And you sort of state at the beginning of the movie, a surreal screwball comedy is how Ethan's character's book is referred to, and you're sort of stating a little bit of what you're doing with this movie as well. Would you define this movie as a surreal screwball comedy?
I mean, yeah, in a sense, because I mean, I suppose that it's definitely screwball, and I suppose it's surreal in the sense that it's very slightly unreal, the situation, and yet it's weirdly plausible. Like somewhere in the world, this whole thing has probably happened, and yet I think that's what's fun about it is it's just that little bit distant from us, and yet it's rooted in character and rooted in truthfulness. But the truth is, as all these absurd situations, you know. For example, him describing what mathematics means to him, because he was a math major in college, you know, that moment wouldn't work if he didn't bring his own soul into it and he didn't reveal himself in some deep way, even if he's not a math major in real life. Like that's what it takes, I think, to make something like this work. Absolutely, completely transparent, real acting.
Yeah. Be remiss to not mention Bill Hader and Maya Rudolph, who play a part in the movie, aren't on the stage. They're incredible in the movie, and I love that in my mind, they kind of represented the sort of non-academic version of love, which is we have all these academics swirling around each other and overanalyzing each other and getting in a mix-up, and then you have these sort of two bitter workers who just know that love is messy and this is what it is and really hard. Were they meant to be a juxtaposition for you, or is that just sort of my understanding?
Yeah, no, I definitely put those characters into the film as sort of a Greek chorus, or as the audience, because Bill keeps yelling at Greta's character because she keeps doing one nutty thing after another and one thing after another that's so unorthodox, and he's saying, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Why can't you just leave your husband like any normal human being?" And so that's what their role was. But in the end, I think partly their rapport together, because they know each other so well, really helped make them seem so real. And I think they're a great couple. I think they're a wonderful married couple.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good depiction of a long-term couple. Yeah. The kids in the movie are also really fantastic. Can you talk about working with those amazing kids?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like I spent most of my time working with Ida, who plays Lily, and I adored her. I fell in love with her. I mean, I had a picture on my phone that I was showing everyone of, this is this girl who's playing my daughter in the movie. I had dreams about her.
Like, any friends that were like, you should take it easy. You know, it's not your kid,
and
Greta.
It's not my kid. I can't take her home. But she was so funny and so stubborn and so brilliant and such a little personality. And I got to play with her. I came over to her house for play dates before we started shooting, and she just bossed me around and made me, like, her parents left, and she was looking around. She was like, "Can you just reach the cookies on the top shelf and then give them to me?" And I did it because I'm a pushover. But she was great. I mean, I love it. I love the scenes, particularly with me and Ida. Like, what's amazing to me is that it gives that parent-child relationship this glow that's usually reserved for romantic relationships in movies, and you really feel that this woman and her daughter they're in love, and it's I'm very moved by those scenes, and I loved shooting them, even though she she needed a lot of sugar to work. She needed
actual sugar?
Yeah, we were feeding her straight honey in a lot of scenes.
Required quite a lot of sugar.
Was she sort of downbeat most of the time?
No, she just loved sugar.
Like so much.
So you were bribing her with sugar to do the lines, basically?
Yeah, she would come in saying, I don't want to, I'm not doing this, I don't want to. And then you never knew when she was suddenly going to start saying her lines. Everyone had to scramble into position because it could happen at any moment.
But then she would improvise, like, just incredibly brilliant stuff in character, which was bizarre but amazing.
Those like 4 lines that she has near the end of the movie are absolutely hilarious.
I know. She's special. Yeah.
And the two kids that play you and Julianne's kids are a sort of great example of the honesty in this movie, in the sense that they say what's going on and they don't not talk about something so that the plot can sort of keep moving or revolve around them. Everybody in this movie will talk about what's going on and they'll work it out. And the kids are sort of a great example of that. And you normally don't get that with kids in movies.
Yeah, you get that wonderful moment with Meena Sundwal, who plays your daughter, who said when she finally is trying to say, what's going on? Are you getting back together? What's going on? And they're trying to avoid telling her the truth. And she finally says, you have no idea what you're doing, do you?
Yeah, right.
And she says the line, I think that's in the trailer, isn't that what divorced people do? You're not supposed to be here, right?
Right. What are you doing here? It's the point of getting a divorce, yeah.
Ethan and Julianne, had you guys worked together before? Am I wrong there?
It seems like we would have.
We can't remember.
Yeah, you're both like New York actors that people love. It seems that you would have, and now I'm racking my brain and I can't think of it.
We've known each other for a long time, and our kids were at preschool together years and years ago too. So, but that's why we think we've worked together, but we're not sure.
I see her drop off and pick up all the time for years, but not on set.
I mean, it's true. It's so many years of school stuff.
Who signed on to the movie first? Who was onto the movie first before?
Greta was first. Right?
Well, Greta
was first.
They were kind of like, it was Julianne and Greta were sort of almost simultaneous. It was Julianne first. I threw the thing through the script through her letterbox, and then I met Greta right after that, and then.
Greta, what did you think when you first got this script to play Maggie? It's an incredible role.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. And it was also from Rebecca, who I loved her movies. So it was a very quick decision. And then we met for coffee. I read the script, and then I sort of said, whenever you're ready to do this, let's do this.
I'm around, let's go.
It was, but I think I mainly, for whatever reason, I've been very lucky to work with great directors, and I like writer directors. I like auteurs. I like people who have a real point of view. And
I also think you really like sort of grounded comedies.
Yes,
Be they screwball comedies
yeah.
or other kinds of comedies.
Yeah.
That's sort of your forte, whether you want it to be or not. Maybe it's just
I know.
what you're
I mean,
driven
I think
towards.
It's my personality. It's what I look for in films, and I think it's what I'm attracted to. I feel like even in the darkest tragedies, the moments of levity are what make it lifelike to me. And conversely, I think that comedies that are just silly, I'm not really interested in. I'm interested in the convergence of all of it. So yeah, and I bet it was very easy, and it was also, it's rare that they're like, it's called Maggie's Plan. You're playing Maggie. And I was like, oh, it was very exciting.
Julianne, you've done comedy before. I mean, I think I said this when I interviewed you at Sundance. I kind of said that your character in The Big Lebowski feels like an extension of the character in this movie a little bit. Just sort of like kind of a little cold, icy sort of art world or intellectual kind of person. But I don't think you get the chance to do as much comedy as maybe you'd like to, because you're incredible at it.
Well, I think Maud from Big Lebowski is very icy and cold and art worldy, but I don't think Georgette is at all.
Sure, she opens up to me.
I think and I mean, Maud is someone who is sort of indicative of a certain art world personality from performance art, like in the 80s, so that she's really, really specific. But I don't think I think Georgette, like I said, the great thing about Georgette is that she has the appearance of being something very other, and she ends up being very familiar. Like I said, she is like having a mom from another country who's just your mom or just a regular person. So that's what I responded to.
Absolutely. I'm going to turn it over to the audience for some questions. Who has questions?
Hey guys, good afternoon. The movie looks really fascinating. So this question's open to everybody up there. I know that the divorce rate in this country keeps going up and that marriages seem to be falling apart right and left. So how do you feel about couples who are going through a hard time? What do you think, what their thoughts would be about this film? Do you think it would help them or not? Hopefully help them in their own kind of way.
I think they'd chuckle.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that the movie's very non-judgmental. It just says we're all in the same boat, you know? And it's not really meant to hinder or help a marriage necessarily, but to look at like long marriages as things that have big vicissitudes and they turn like, you know, like a river, and you have bad years in a marriage, you know? And so one of the things that's interesting, I think, is that, you know, you look at these two people who've been married for a long time and you get to see them be married see their marriage in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely. Does anyone else want to field that, or should we just...
Oh. Well, I will say my grandparents were married for 40 years, got divorced for 10, then got remarried. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they hated each other for 40 years, and then they just missed hating each other. I don't know.
Is that like a direct quote? We missed hating each other. We're getting back together?
No, but I just remember my dad saying to my grandfather, like, you know, you should get, your divorce isn't working out. Like, they started dating again. It was in their 80s. It was pretty amazing. And anyway, I feel like there's so many paths that lives take, and I mean, when you said, oh, somewhere in the world this has happened, somewhere in the world this has happened. And I don't know. That's just a thing about my grandparents.
Next question.
Hi, I had a question. So, as an actor myself, when you get the script, was there something about the script, like when you were reading it, you picked it up, that you were like at a page and you were like, this is it, like I have to sign on? Because like, as Travis was talking earlier, these movies are sort of more difficult to make, and they now have places like at the Sundance Film Festival and all these places where you can see these wonderful movies, but they're not necessarily like a Hollywood big budget, you know, Marvel, something like that, that doesn't get that much of attraction. So is there more of an attraction for projects like these for yourselves?
Well, you know, for me, because Rebecca and I have been friends for a very long time, and I'd worked with her before, I, of course, am always interested in what she's doing. And what I said earlier, that line, when I got that line when they're trudging through the snow, where she, you know, starts to cry and says, "Are we going to die here?" That was when I really was like, I have to do this movie, because you don't see that very often. You don't see someone being deadly serious about what they want from somebody and asking for it in kind of an oblique way, and then having a complete and utter meltdown. You know, so all of that coming together like that was very, very unusual. And I thought, ooh, I can do something with this. This is something. Not only do I want to work with Rebecca because I love her and I love her work, but this is something I can do something different with. For one, you know, so I think that element of the script was very, very attractive to me.
Okay. Did you want to answer that too?
No. I was just going to say, I think that what you've said too is just that it was different for you, right? Like that.
Well, one of the things that's different is, it's two things I could say to that. One is simply, there's so few women working in film today that it's really exciting as an actor, and it kind of selfishly, I wanted the experience of perhaps working in a different way, and working with a woman captaining the ship was really wonderful for me and forced me into a different kind of behavior. You know, it's just a different dynamic on set, and one that I wish I was in more, and I found that very exciting, that aspect of it. A movie with a female voice and a strong female voice was exciting to be around. And then in regards to just the script, I remember reading, there's a scene where, you know, a woman is driving her stepkids through New York traffic and she can't find a place to legally park. And she's arguing and trying to do 15 things at once. And when I read that part of the script, I was like, I want to see this movie. I want to see a movie that looks like what life looks like. And I wasn't even in that scene, but I just liked the movie.
I just want to say, in regards to how people can see this movie, I saw it at the Sundance Film Festival, but this is the type of movie that Hollywood should be making, as corny of a thing that is to say. This is a movie that would be a massive studio success when romantic comedies were being made, and they were being made frequently. They weren't always great, but this would be one of the great ones that people would look back on, like we do Nora Ephron's movies, or maybe Nancy Meyers sometimes. I'm not sure. But this is a movie that it would be a massive studio success.
Or James Brooks was making funny, smart movies for a while. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people who are following in that same line.
Yeah. And also, I think, like, from an, like, to answer that, like, acting point of view, I think because in the script there's so many really sharply drawn characters, it was also a feeling of getting to do a big ensemble piece. I mean, even the number of people who are sitting here right now, I feel like a lot of times in movies it's like, you know, two people or something, and having a group of people and really feeling like we were a little troupe for the time.
And that everyone was needed and everyone was contributing.
Yeah. I mean, that felt special, and it also just felt like, because you're not just signing up to play a role, you're signing up for an experience with a group of people.
Yeah, our first day, do you remember on the ice skating rink, we all were sitting in a room with our ice skates on, and there was a whole bunch of people, the entire cast was there, and that's so unusual to get to work with that many people, and that many gifted, interesting people, and everybody having a major contribution to it too. So that really did feel very different and special.
Absolutely, everybody has a moment in the film. It's not like a sort of typical indie film where we would call it an ensemble, but maybe someone showed up for a day and did a quick bit. Even if they have a small part, there is a major contribution that their character has to the movie, and a role. They have a moment that alerts the audience to what they're doing there. Next question. I've taken over too much. Sorry.
Hey guys, I got to see the movie at the New York Film Festival. It was like really funny and human. I was just wondering what it was like on set. Like, were you guys just busy working, or was it like where you guys get to relax or joke around with each other?
Were there any pranks? Sorry, just kidding.
A lot of practical jokes.
I mean, overall, I'd say, just from my point of view, in terms of both the crew and all of us, there was such a nice feeling on the set. It was really unusually, almost really loving environment, and so much cooperation, and just everybody wanting to make the best thing, and such good attitudes. I mean, you know, really extraordinarily. I mean, I had so much fun.
Well, Rebecca is so incredibly positive too and encouraging, and she would be like, "That's great." And you go, "Really?" And so you're like, "Oh, okay." So I think everybody felt that way. You're like, "Oh, it was good," and she's happy, and it was infectious. I think her energy.
I think for me, because I mean, it was, you know, we work hard and it's long days, but because I admired everyone so much who was in the cast, and I just wanted to hang out and talk. I feel like, you know, it definitely was like I didn't want to like go away to my little room. I wanted to be there for whatever, you know, during setups. I feel like, you know, we would all
there wasn't
sit
that thing
around
of
and
going off to the trailer.
Yeah, well, because sometimes you're on movies where, like,
Well, the trailers weren't very nice.
Did you have trailers?
trailers weren't
Oh,
so great.
speaking of which, there was one time where we couldn't find Greta, and Travis found her asleep in the bathtub on the set because she can nap anywhere.
I can go to sleep anywhere, and
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I fell asleep in the bathtub in my fake apartment.
I'm like extremely jealous of that. Anybody with that ability.
It's a very it's a useful superpower, but like but not a lot of it's not gonna make nobody's gonna franchise it.
The napper.
I think we have time for one more question.
Hi everyone. For the actors on stage, are you ever worried that when your fans are watching your movies, they'll see you for who you are as an actor rather than as your character?
I don't worry about the expression worry in fans. Fans implies people like you anyway, and so I don't worry about that. I'm already winning if I even have one fan. So, you know, no.
Yeah, who are you to judge your fans for how they like you?
They can see me however they want to. If they're seeing me, it's all good.
Yeah, we're just happy people are coming. If people are coming, that's all we can ask for.
See the real me, see the fake me, it's all good. It means I'm working.
I think that's the last question, and the movie comes out May 18th, right? In New York?
20th.
May 20th, excuse me. May 20th in New York and LA. And I know I sit up here a lot, and I'm always very nice to the people who come up here, and I tell them that I like their movies, but I actually love this movie. I love it so much, and I hope that everybody goes to see it, because you're not going to see a funnier, more human film probably this year. Thanks so much for being here, you guys.
Thank you guys. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much.
Look at him.